And we're back better than ever. Look at all these words. We're so hot, we don't need no sweater. I'm terrible at rapping. I get it. Some of you are probably cringing. You know what? I'm the one cringing. Because I'm looking at myself in a mirror right now and I'm like, man, I have just really let myself go. I am sorry. My bad. I'll fix that. But in the meantime, today, we're going over how to put together a story. Now, we will do a tutorial on actually assembling it in the editing room, but this is basically the layout. What does a package or a story really look like? Now, we call it a package because there's lots of different elements going into play. You've got VOs and SBs, and you've got stand-ups and sign-offs and nap pops, and all these we're going to go over. What does that even mean? Well, we're going to go over all of this, and what you're going to find out is there is a very basic formula. Very basic. If you go look at anybody, CNN, go look at KNWA, 4029, doesn't matter. They all follow the same principles. They may mix some things up, they may take a piece out and put it over here instead, but they all have the same exact principle. And that's what we're going to be diving into today. So, kill the music. And it's killed. Just like that. Okay, so the very first thing, we're just going to go over the basic format. So, you have a nap pop, voiceover 1, soundbite 1, voiceover 2, soundbite 2, possibly another nap pop, voiceover 3, and tag out. Okay, so now you probably don't know what those mean. We're going to go over all of that stuff, don't worry. But the most important thing is a nap pop will probably kick off the package. Okay, you could have a nap pop. Typically, I have my students actually start with a stand-up. So a stand-up is when the reporter is physically standing in front of the camera. I like to do this at the very beginning just so my students get more screen time. People recognize their work. They know, oh, that's Nick Luttrell. Oh, that's Samantha Lewandowski. Oh, that's Ashley and Grace Brothers. They see their face all the time. So I like to have my students do a stand-up first where they introduce what we're about to discuss, and then we go into a nap pop. Now, a nap pop is 3 seconds of natural audio from whatever you're shooting. For instance, if we were doing a story on me and creating content for online, we might have a nap pop that says, all right guys, today we're going to be going over the basic format of creating a package, and if you look right here, the first step is a nap pop. Okay, so you have that 3 seconds, it's just natural audio that occurs. If you're at a football game, it'd probably be like, touchdown, blah, 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 and then the crowd cheers. Okay, if you're shooting a story in the about the cafeteria food, you might have the general ambience of a cafeteria, right? Then you go into a voiceover, or we abbreviate that with VO, voiceover. A voiceover is when a reporter is speaking, but we don't see that person. Instead, B-roll is covering it. Okay, so that's a voiceover. Soundbite, we abbreviate with SB, soundbite, SB. A soundbite is an audio clip taken from the interviewee. It could be the opinion, it could be a fact, it could be emotion, it could be the eyewitness account. Soundbite. Okay, so those three, and then we'll go over sign off at the very end, but we abbreviate that with SO, sign off. So you have a couple basic elements. Stand up, SU, nap pop, VO, voiceover, SB, soundbite, and sign off, SO, okay? All right, so the voiceover is the reporter telling you the story or help tying together information from point A to point B. Typically, when you do interviews, you have multiple interviews. And so these interviewees may have unrelated thoughts. It's about the same topic, but the thoughts aren't really connected. So you can use the voiceover to tie those thoughts together. Okay, sound bites are the emotional account of the story, the facts. All right, let's go over this. Again, the soundbite could be facts, emotions, opinions, eyewitness accounts. Do not do this. Do not use the soundbite in the voiceover. Do not use a soundbite in the voiceover. That's really bad. So, for instance, John Smith says that things have gotten bad at Har-Ber. Soundbite. Things have gotten really bad at Har-Ber. Right? We don't do that because we're literally we're going to hear that. He's about to say it. Okay? I don't even like saying the name. I don't like saying John Smith says, because why? We're about to have a lower third that says that. We're about to have a lower third that identifies this person. So there's no real need. It's redundancy. Okay? So do not use the soundbite in voiceovers. All right. So you need to listen to your interviews, write down the information, write down interesting information, pick the soundbites. When you pick the soundbites, remember, tell a story that enhances. Use the soundbite that's going to enhance the story. Soundbites should be no longer than 12 seconds. Okay. I will say I am super guilty about this. I've had soundbites last like 40 seconds, even a minute long. And that, when we go to competitions, that's been our biggest critique from professionals like 4029, KNWA. They're like, your soundbites are just way too long. You need to dial it down. I think they actually told me 7. But it might be 12. 7 might have been for the stand-up. I can't remember. But 12 seconds, you need to cut it down. Remember, attention span of a viewer. You get 30 seconds, and then you've lost their attention. So if you have a 40-second soundbite, you've lost that viewer. They've changed the channel. Okay, so use 12 seconds. Cut it to where you can delete the rest of the clip and write your story. All right, so voiceover 1, that's typically going to introduce the package, background information. Okay? It leads into the first soundbite. Typically what I do, the first voiceover, which I call our stand-up, our reporters staying in front of the screen, they introduce the piece. Har-Ber High School is getting back to school this year, and with the pandemic looming over faculty and staff, safety precautions have become the main point of interest. I just made that up off the top of my head. Okay, so then we would cut to perhaps our principal speaking about the safety precautions being implemented. Right, so you can tie that together. You can write to your soundbite. Again, it's take a look at what the last thing soundbite 1 said. Take a look at the first thing soundbite 2 said. Now, how do you connect these thoughts? Right? Maybe soundbite 1 is our principal saying, we've implemented sanitizing stations at every single classroom as well as common areas, and we're also trying to enforce 6 feet of distance. Okay, there's soundbite 1. Soundbite 2 is a student, and the student says, I don't really feel comfortable being here. I wish that we were just all online. Those two thoughts are completely unrelated, right? How do you tie them together? Well, use your voiceover. Maybe you have the first soundbite about how sanitization stations, sanitary, I don't know. They have stations in the common areas and we're keeping the 6-foot rule. And then your voiceover says, though precautions have been implemented at Har-Ber, students find themselves still weary about the year ahead. Cut to soundbite 2. I wish that we would just go to online learning. I still don't feel totally safe being here. Right? Now we've connected all 3 of those together and it ties together well. All right. You can also rephrase the soundbite. Right? According to John Smith, again, I don't like using names, but according to John Smith, students are getting national recognition for their high AP scores. We have the highest AP scores in Arkansas, and that translates into scholarships. So you could rephrase it. That would certainly work. And then voiceover 3, this is where we're typically going to tag out. We're going to sign off. I always, again, like the reporter to be on camera. Give the reporter as much recognition as humanly possible. So we sign off, and you always sign off the same exact way. the name of your station or who you're reporting for, and your name. For HBWN, I'm Nick Luttrell. For WCSN, for KNWA, reporting live, So always say who you're reporting for. That gives attention to who you're reporting for and draws viewership. And then who you are. Give credit to your hard work. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a look at a package. The very first time we watch anything, we just watch it to enjoy. So let's just take a look at this piece produced by Nick Luttrell.
It takes a lot to go into each and every football game. But one thing that goes unnoticed is the student sections. And here at Har-Ber High School, they want to be recognized as the loudest in the state of Arkansas.
I mean, I feel like the student section has a pretty big impact. I definitely know it changes the environment. I mean, it's when it's really fun to be there, a lot more kids are going to come and show up. And so it's been cool for me to see them actually get stuff together this year, like the, Icelandic Viking chant. I think we're doing a really good job this year. Like, I think that they have just kind of, as a whole, trying to come up with some traditions that are like something we're going to do every time. So I know they've been singing Country Roads after third quarter every time. But trying to create some things that are Har-Bers. If we can do those kind of things every year, I think it'd be cool to just kind of make them our thing.
Building tradition within the student section is one of the many things that senior Caleb Burns has tried to implement to make football games a louder atmosphere.
I like to have fun at the games. I love sports, but also, to cheer on those guys that come in here and they practice every morning after schools. I'm just a loud voice just trying to lead a few people, but they're the guys that are going out there and creating the excitement for us. Anytime that they're doing well, we're trying to get loud, or on defense, we're trying to get loud. Kind of disrupt the play for the opposing team. And I just think, as far as what we do, is we just try to create more of an excitement, kind of create an atmosphere where they want to be more dialed into, they want to perform their best to show us what they can do.
The loud and fun atmosphere of these students are even noticed by some of the Wildcat football players.
They're amazing. That many people showing up, that's crazy. Especially our student section leaders and blue crew people, they do a great job of leading it, and then they just get so hyped and boost us up, and that really helps us out so much. Coming out, we score quick, and they get hype. I mean, that's big for us. That really boosts us and it helps us play with energy a lot more.
With a big win against crosstown rival Springdale Bulldogs, the Wildcats couldn't have done it without the passion and emotion that the Har-Ber student section brings every single week. For WCSN, I'm Nick Luttrell. It takes a lot to go into each and every football game.
All right, sorry, loop through there. Let's go back to the end. For WCSN, I'm Nick Luttrell. Nick's at Syracuse now. All right, so let's look at the very beginning of this. Perfect freeze frame on his face. So the very beginning, and we are discussing, we're going to break it down. Now remember the basic pattern. If you need to write this down, I'll give you time. Grab a piece of paper and a pen. Here we go. Or a pencil, marker, crayon. Do you say crown or crayon? I said crown. Anyway. All right, you got it? Ready? Here we go. So the basic format, here we go, is stand up. We introduce the package. Nat pop, 3 seconds of natural audio to get the viewer interested. Soundbite 1, voiceover 1. Soundbite 2, voiceover 2. Soundbite 3, and sign off. We wrap up everything and we tag out, right? So let's take a look at this. We have a stand up and we'll play it.
It takes a lot to go into each and every football game. But one thing that goes unnoticed is the student sections. And here at Har-Ber High School, they want to be recognized as the loudest in the state of Arkansas.
Okay, so we have Nick, who has just introduced that the student section has this ambition to be the loudest in the state of Arkansas. And now we're going to cut to Nat Pop, right? We have the student section, they're cheering loud. We get to the audio, we feel like we're there. Okay, got it. And now we cut to soundbite. This is a bite from an interview. Remember, your interview may be 15, 20 minutes. Can you put that all in one package? Absolutely not. God, if you did. bless your heart. I'm not watching it. I know that. A package should be a minute and a half. Minute and a half, 2 minutes, we're pushing it at that point. Okay, so we're shooting for those timelines. You've got to chop it up. So you're going to chop your interview into little bites and piece those together. And we certainly do that right here. We have sound bites going on.
The environment. And I mean, it's when it's really fun to be there. A lot more kids are going to come and
it's
show up.
okay to underlay
it's been cool
audio.
To see them actually get stuff together this year, like the Icelandic Viking chant.
Again, a nice nap pop here.
I think we're doing a really good job this year. Like, I think that they have just kind of, as a whole, like trying to come up with some traditions that are like something we're going to do every time. So I know they've been singing Country Roads after third quarter every time. But trying to create some things that are Har-Bers. If we can do those kind of things every year, I think it'd be cool to just kind of make them our thing.
Building tradition within the student section is one of the many things that senior Caleb Burns has.
All right, so now we've got another voiceover going on, and we're tying into the next thoughts, which would be this student, Caleb Burns.
I love
right?
Sports.
So we've got the voiceover working, and then we go to soundbite 2. Now, remember, the voiceover is tying in incomplete thoughts. So we've got thoughts from the teacher, now we've got thoughts from the student. We're tying those together, right? And we'll fast forward a little bit. Another voiceover right here that we're going to connect with the player on the field.
These students are even noticed by some of the Wildcat football players.
They're amazing. Like, that many people showing up, that's
Soundbite 3, we have the player on the field that's talking about how important the student section is.
That's crazy. Like, especially our student section leaders and blue crew people, like, they do a great job of leading it, and then like they just get so hyped and boost us up, and that really helps us out so much. Coming out, we score quick, and they get hype. I mean, that's big for us. Like, that really boosts us, and it helps us play with energy a lot more.
And finally, we have our sign off, our tag out, where he's going to say for WCSN, he's going to wrap up everything that was talked about and kind of conclude it. So we're giving a nice finished polished piece. Again, stand-ups and sign-offs should be about 7 seconds. This looks to be about 10. So it's a bit long, but you get the concept. It has the same repeating pattern. Stand up, introduce the piece. Nap pop. Soundbite 1, voiceover 1. Soundbite 2, voiceover 2. Soundbite 3, sign off. All right. So I hope that helped a little bit about how you're going to be piecing things together. Cue the music again as we're wrapping up. You'll actually get hands-on hopefully here soon as you start piecing together your own stuff. So just remember that simple format. And if you have any questions, you know I'm always available. In case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.